Semifinals here of the SC Reddit Open. So big shout out to our sponsors at ZenMagnets.com and NewGamesNinja.com. Of course, the people running the tournament are available at StarCraft.reddit.com and SCReddit.com as well. So thanks again for everyone tuning in. Again, this is the Cats Pajamas and Destiny casting the second set of semifinals here. The SC Reddit Open. Here at the 3 o'clock position, we have Domorin or Domorin, I don't know. Waiting on someone to let me know, but Domorin is what we'll go with for now. He is our orange Terran here at the 3 o'clock position on Scrap Station. His opponent, Alternity. Alternity is our pink Terran player. So TVT action on Scrap Station. Of course, this map is... this actually isn't a terrible map for TVT, all things considered. Because of the short distances by air, I would expect to see a lot of drops and multiple harassment between the two players. Probably some form of Blue Flame Hellions versus Banshees or something along those lines. But wouldn't expect to see just a straight-out macro match through the middle.
Yeah, even just the thought of Banshees, a cloak Banshees showing up in this gameplay, I think adds a whole new kind of dynamic to it. I mean, with the way the bases are set out, obviously it's a very long walking distance from base to base, and you've got that chasm in the middle that just kind of begs for airplay.
So Eternity is going ahead and dropping down his barracks outside of his base, a little bit of a hidden position right now, while his opponent Domorin is just dropping down his barracks in front of his command center. Gas coming up for both players, so no sort of weird Marine King Prime, 1 Rex, fast expand, no gas, and just mass Marines over and over again. Matchup, we're going to see some mech-oriented build out of both these players. We do have scouts coming out from both of them right now. Domorin making his way into his opponent's base there. The SCVs shake hands and move on by. So here for Domorin, a barracks. Here for Alternity, a barracks. First couple of minutes of TVT are so much fun, aren't they?
Definitely. Kind of an interesting barracks position. I'm not entirely sure if there's some greater strategic reasoning behind that, but maybe it'll become more apparent later on. I was almost wondering if he was going to throw up a barracks at his front to try and fang some kind of 1-Rex play into a really early kind of aggressive Marine play, but I mean, it seems like both players are pretty much mirroring each other up to this point.
I was wondering about that too, and of course, Domorin has gone ahead and seen that oddly positioned barracks, so it's not like he's not expecting it. I imagine this may cause him to go ahead and check around for any sort of proxy barracks due to the odd position of that one, but it doesn't really look like he's overcommitting to this at all. Right now we do have Alternity going in and putting up a factory behind his base. Again, if there's one thing you don't really want to do as a Terran player, it's increase the walk distance on Scrap Station, so you don't really have the luxury of warping in units anywhere or decreasing that walk distance. But nonetheless, Alternity going ahead and putting down a second refinery, not terribly late per se. Actually, both players at about the same time. Factory is a little bit farther done for Alternity than it is for Domorin at this point, so Domorin will be in a little bit better position to tech up in the short term. But Alternity is probably going to incline towards a drop, I would imagine, due to the timing of the refinery. So, yep, indeed, a starport coming down right now. Nothing coming out of the factory yet. No add-ons going on to the barracks as well. We may indeed see even a tech lab here for a little bit of a tech switch to the starport.
Yeah, I think if not even the drop play, possibly even he might be building that tech lab for Banshees on that starport. I see the bunker going up at the front to kind of defend him against any kind of counter push from Domorin.
He does have a little bit of a concave, Domorin does, outside of his base, so he's waiting for any sort of early aggression. There is the first Hellion. It's immediately going to be sent out and across the base, so Domorin pretty aggressively sending out that scout. There is one SCV here for Alternity. Unfortunately, it is going to be roasted. Bye-bye, SCV. And we'll see what the Hellion decides to do after this.
Looks like Alternity is definitely going for some Cloak Banshee play. I see that here. We got the Cloak coming already.
And he's a little bit slower to actually build the Banshee, but that will make the timing of the actual Cloak finishing of the Banshee a little bit closer. And it appears as though Domorin is doing the same thing. So, exactly identical builds coming out of both players right now. One engineering bay coming up for Domorin. So he will have the ability to respond with some turrets pretty quickly. Alternity is putting up no such structure in the short term. So he's going to have to rely upon a Raven or scans for his detection of the Cloak Banshees. Scan does go down. Therefore, Alternity looks into Domorin's base and sees that there is a tech lab that is producing an upgrade, and a tech lab starport that is producing a unit. So he knows that his opponent is indeed going for those cloaked banshees as well. So a little bit of identical build going on. It's really going to come down to micro here in the short term. Banshees actually passing each other there, and we'll see which one actually does a little bit more damage.
I think that orbital command is 20 seconds lagged for having any kind of scan. Looks like the Banshee timing's not quite done. I think it might actually work out pretty well for Alternity to have that scan as soon as the cloak finishes on that Banshee. And then it looks like he's got a Raven that'll be popping out shortly thereafter, so it doesn't look like he's going to take any damage from this early Banshee.
No, and Domorin has up a missile turret as well inside of his mineral line, so he's not going to be too worried about any sort of economic damage. This Banshee is taking a few good shots onto the starport, but of course it alone won't take it out. Nice scan goes down, and the Banshee instantly evaporates. So we do have an expansion coming down for Domorin. Around his natural is actually on the high ground. Expansion coming down for Alternity as well. So both players have been very, very similar up to this point. Domorin does pick off a couple of Marines. He does have to be wary of this Raven, though. Nice little control going on there. And I think he'll be able to focus down that Marine army pretty quickly.
Alternity has to be really careful right here. If he loses too many of these Marines, he's got another Banshee queued up. He doesn't even have a Viking. He's very, very confident that he's going to be able to hold off this push with just Marines and the Raven here. That was kind of a strange cloak. I'm not sure why he would waste energy there when he sees the Raven, but...
No, and he's still not decloaked either, which is a little bit strange. But anyway, Alternity is going to need to put up his tech lab again pretty quickly. Unfortunately, that was focus fired down for the Banshee, so another 75 resources wasted. Orbital commands going up for both players at this point, or actually not quite up for Domorin quite yet. He's saving up the resources on that. There is one Banshee heading out, and does pick off an SCV in transit for Domorin. And Alternity is going to drop by here and see that there is no natural expansion. Domorin actually doesn't know where he's going to put his quite yet. I don't know if he'll drop down in kind of a weird proxy position, but Domorin is walking into the main now with his Banshees. He's already taken out a considerable number of SCVs. These Marines, however, are in position to go ahead and drive this off, but not before a huge amount of damage was done. Those Banshees actually have 14 kills between them, and that's only going to increase in the short term. One Banshee falls, but this other Banshee is actually going to be able to take out the other two Marines. Unfortunately, that Banshee will die. Viking does clear it up. But Army tab shows both players are about even in terms of Army at this point, but Domorin is very, very ahead in terms of workers, up by 10 at this point. And he does have enough energy, actually 150 energy on one of his orbital commands. I'm surprised that he doesn't drop down any sort of mules. But Alternity is moving in here with a Cloaked Banshee. The scan goes down, but unfortunately the Banshee does make its way away. Alternity heading back up to the 3 o'clock expansion. Just sitting there and waiting for that scan to go away. One SCV comes down. It does finish that missile turret.
A little surprised not to see that the command center down at Domorin's expansion turn into an orbital command before actually moving it over, just so that he's got that energy collecting beforehand.
Yeah, it's only about halfway done at the moment. And that's going to set him back just a little bit. We do have a little bit of a double Banshee play, I believe, out of Domorin at the moment. One Banshee at the natural, one Banshee at the main. Banshee at the main doing a good bit of damage. Already has 2 kills, ready to steal his 3rd and 4th. There are some units that are being brought over to deal with this, but as soon as he moves in, we're going to have Domorin move in with his other Banshee. So all mining is now being stopped for Alternity. Domorin will need to go ahead and cloak one of his Banshees there. Unit stab shows us Alternity is only on 20 workers at this point, 20 to his opponent's 39. The harassment has not nearly been as effective for Alternity. Domorin throws down the scan and does kill the next Banshee.
Alternity is in a really rough spot here. Domorin is knocked off almost half the workers. He's going to have to do something kind of crazy. And Domorin's got this Banshee back here again, just taking out more of these workers. I kind of think it was a mistake for Alternity to rely on this. I kind of see what he's going for with the Raven Viking to hold off all of these harasses, but I think turrets just would have served him way better here. These Banshees are just setting him back so far.
Yeah, because the turrets have worked just fine for Domorin right now. I mean, no problems at all. He has been able to hold off all of the harassment pretty effectively. In addition, any ones that he wasn't able to kill, he's had enough money to go ahead and put up some scans. It's not really been that big of a waste because of how big of an advantage of an economy he is right now. We do have a couple of missile turrets finally making their way up for Alternity at his natural. None have gone up in the main. Now, finally, we have the shadows of a couple queued up. And Army tab shows us Domorin is actually behind in terms of Army right now. Because, of course, with his economy, with the amount of unit-producing structures he has out, he'll be able to just rock and roll and produce a ton of units in the short term. Another missile turret going down for Domorin in front of his base. And Alternity is actually moving out at this point. He is taking
Yeah, I think
down
Alternity
the
realizes that he has to do some kind of push now. He's so far behind in economy. The longer this game draws on, it seems like the further ahead Domorin is going to pull. If he can't do some kind of damage with this attack, I just see Domorin being able to pull further and further away from him.
Yeah, as during this little bit of gap while Alternity has been going through these destructible rocks, Domorin has actually evened the resource gap in terms of army. He probably will go ahead and drop down his tanks into siege mode. There they go. And we'll see how aggressive Alternity is in trying to bring his units forward. Vikings up for both players. No real established air control yet. Alternity is getting ready with his Raven to use his units to spot forward, but these Vikings are out, and they are going to pick off that Raven pretty quickly. Oh, point defense drone goes down. But unfortunately, one tank disappears for Alternity because the Banshee for Domorin did a nice little flank there. Scan goes down to see exactly what Domorin has. Alternity is going to move up. Unfortunately, one of those tanks gets roasted again. Another one in range here. And Alternity is going to lose yet another siege tank.
It's a really nice point defense drone drop, but I don't know. At this point, he's going back to his base with his tail in between his legs. He's down. Domorin's almost got twice the amount of harvesters. He's got a third coming up. He's got a larger army. I don't know. It looks like Alternity's in big trouble here.
It's just kind of an odd bit of micro there to run his units directly into that tank. It did go down, but he just red-barred about 6 of his Marines. More units coming up for Domorin at this point. He now has a significant advantage in terms of food. Workers tab shows us Alternity has been trying to come back, but he is down 35 workers to 61. Domorin has yet another base coming up. He will be able to establish control of the map almost completely here in the near future. So Domorin setting in some more siege tanks. He's got his hard contained line up. There is one Marine for Alternity who's running around and trying to check for expansions. He does scan onto the high ground and does see another command center in production, but I'm not sure really what he's going to be able to do with that knowledge.
Yeah, I kind of wonder why he even bothered scanning. There's just not much he can do at this point.
And basically he can look at that and go, oh, great, another expansion, and then kind of rage a little bit more. Scan goes down for Domorin, though, just to take a look at what Alternity has onto the field. Not a lot of siege tanks, and actually with a slow siege push, not even that slow of a siege push, just kind of get close and bring up your siege tanks, establish air control, he really could just end this game. But I think he's actually going to queue up for a nice drop here. He has 2 siege tanks, 8 Marines, and about 3 Vikings that are heading out to go ahead and make a coordinated push. Not much sitting here for Alternity. He is running his siege tanks away, and the drop is going to go into place here at Alternity's main. So here are the units dropping down. The one missile turret is about to fall immediately. There it goes. Tanks are actually sieged at this moment. As soon as Alternity pulls back his units, I would assume that we'll have a push out here from Domorin. No, I'm a dirty liar. He's just trying to do what damage he can with this push. Not really being used as a distraction, just kind of sacrificing those units to the StarCraft gods there.
There's a lot of exposed areas in Domorin's base where Alternity could be using his Banshee to kind of harass, but it doesn't seem like he's doing much. I don't understand what's going through his head right now in terms of how he's going to try and get back in this game. He has to realize he's impossibly behind right now.
So Domorin, yeah, I mean, because Domorin, I mean, if we take a look at the income tab, I'm sorry, the units tab, there's 70 SCVs to 44 right now. Again, Alternity has probably been saying to himself, though, okay, I've held off, not hold it, again, Southern Missouri coming at me, held off the harassment for that much longer. He is putting up a sensor tower as well. He's been continually reproducing orbital his SCVs. I guess he's just banking on the fact that he is pulling even with his opponent. But right now, these medevacs are about ready to drop in another 16 Marines here at the top of Alternity's base. There are no...
This will be really nice if he can just totally shut this down. He's got the Vikings in place to do it. Both of these medevacs are really low health. I don't even think these medevacs are going to drop a single unit. If he would just move those Vikings over.
And here come the Vikings, and yes, oh god, nope, they just all went away. So 16 Marines and 2 medevacs just obliterated, and because of that, Alternity was actually able to pull even in terms of food. So that's 2 failed drops now out of Domorin, when really he kind of could have just taken all of his units and a-click to victory. But Alternity sitting back with a good collective force right now. He is going to move the long way around, go through the Zelnaga Tower. Of course, there are some Marines up there for Domorin waiting for this, and actually they're going to pick off a couple of Vikings. One Viking goes down, the second almost went down.
Looks like Domorin's going for the base trade. He's heading through the middle while Alternity takes out this expansion here.
And I think that this is going to favor Domorin. Oh, actually, Domorin only moving forward with a few units. That's smart because the amount of units he is moving forward can go ahead and take out his opponent's base. But Alternity is moving in. He's taking out these siege tanks very quickly. The siege boat comes down. There are a lot of Marines dying. And the reinforcements from Domorin are actually cleaning up this attack from Alternity at the same time. Domorin is attacking into the base, and Alternity does GG. So Domorin takes game number 1 here out of the second semifinal set on the SC Reddit Open.